welcome back. This is Sanctum Stitching, where modern meets vintage. I'm Fawn.
I'm Marianne. We're glad to see you.
And this is episode number 18, as I just talk right over Marianne.
That's okay.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, welcome back. I think we're going to hit a little bit of every category today. So we have whips, new starts, finishes, haul, vintage, and the results of our giveaway, which were actually really fascinating. So we'll talk about that. But to start, Marianne, you said you had a whip that you worked on this week?
Yes, I do. I was working on my Honeybee, whatever it is. Honeybee Hill, that's what I was thinking. It does have the hill in it. And I got the other hive done up here.
Wow.
And then I actually did a couple of the little flowers, you know, one of those there. So I worked on that last night. I started it around 10 p.m., y'all. So I got 3 flowers done too. That's right. There's 2 other flowers right in here. So I'll take a picture.
Is I think I was in bed at 10 o'clock last night.
Joe had already gone to bed, so I was watching Major Crimes and working on this. And then do you want me to also show my Sal thing too that I've been working on?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then for the Susan B. sampler, this is the progress I've made over a 2-week time frame.
It's so pretty.
It's coming along. I was telling Fawn earlier, everywhere there's ecru, I seem to run into a problem, but I got it finally. And I had to redo this up here, so I had to take out these 2 and get them because they were not lined up right. So
it's so much bigger than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it is.
You know, you read a stitch count and you don't really realize, like, oh, right. Dang, that is a big piece.
Because here's more fabric back here, thank the Lord for small favors.
Oh,
and so I figure, okay, down here I was looking, see this little bitty line down here?
Mm-hmm.
I was looking and I thought, now, what is that? So I pulled out, because this is part 1 right to here. And then part 2 is going over further this way. So I thought, well, now what's 3 then? Well, that's the start of the roof of the house.
Oh, okay.
So I thought, okay. So that's my 2 little works in progress, and we'll see if I get into something else too or not. You know,
I can't get over how much bigger it is than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's a biggie. It's a biggie. I thought, well, maybe I should have gotten I think if I had used like a 38 or a 40 or something, then it would be much smaller. You know, the higher the number, the smaller the piece. And I'm using 28. It called for being on 30. So
gotcha.
I'm going to have
going over 2?
Yes.
Okay, so it's like a 14.
Yeah. That's what Carrie's working. Hers is on a 14. So
it could be a nice pillow. It looks like it'll be big enough.
It might be, yeah, that, or I may have some frames around here. When I worked for the federal courts, I got some awards from the circuit for some projects I had worked on. And I thought to myself the other day, I was out there looking through a box and I thought, what should I do with these things? And then I thought, well, I can just save the certificates. Maybe I can use the frames for something.
Oh my gosh. I do that when I go to Goodwill. I'm like, oh, I do not like what's in here. But then you see the frame, you're like, oh, I could take that out.
Yeah, that's true.
Save a lot of money instead of going to Michael's.
Oh, that's the truth. And get good at doing them yourself. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So anyway. So if you saw a jump there, we lost Marianne. Her connection died. Yeah, anyway, one of the things I worked on this week was a gift for some people that I'm going to go visit soon. And I decided I was going to make a Mill Hill Santa. And so this one is beaded with some weaving in the beard, but mostly it is just a beaded piece. And I was really excited because I made this into an ornament in under 3 minutes. The longest part was just trying to cut out this with not the smallest scissors. So all I did was, once I stitched it, I put a little bit of dab of glue on the back to hold the ribbon that I cut, which hopefully that's long enough. It seems long enough. but I also didn't have any ornaments out to compare it to. So fingers crossed it fits on their tree. And I used a piece of sticky felt to just press on the back. And so I pressed it on and then I cut it out and it was done. That was it. That's all I had to do. And now I have a fully finished ornament. So I took some pictures. I'm going to post them over on our Instagram at Sanctumstitching, just a little plug for that there. So if you're interested and want to see the process, even though the process took 2 minutes, check us out over there for sure. But in our first recording of this, I was saying that sometimes when you stitch something for someone, it feels like it's not enough. So you have this gift and you spend all these hours on it, and yet you're like, oh, is that like good enough for them? Is that a big enough present? And so I was just wondering if anybody else has ever felt that way. Might make me feel a little less alone, because I'm going to be staying with them for a day or two, and I wanted to give an ornament because they love Christmas, and I was just like, oh well, I should get something else too, because this isn't enough. They're like, I should get them cookies or a plant, or I should stitch 2 ornaments, not 1 ornament. And so I called my parents and they're like, stop, you're crazy, you're fine. They're going to look at this and they're going to love it. But I'm sure other crafters have felt that way too, like, oh, I should do more. I should give them something else instead of just a stitchy thing. They should get a plant. You know what I mean? So let me know if you've ever felt that way.
Some of my most treasured Christmas ornaments found when I was in library school, that was getting my master's degree. My friend Lane sent me, she was also in school, and she sent me some cardinals that she had made, you know, the felt cardinals that were stuffed and everything. And Joe and I still use those. That's 40 something years.
Wow.
I didn't have any money to go out and buy Christmas presents for everybody. So I got some felt and cut out Christmas trees and decorated them with stitching, and then bell shape things, and stitched a little design on that, like holly and stuff, and gave those to my sister and brothers and friends and stuff. And my understanding is those are still used, and Joe and I still have some of those too. And that was my Christmas presents for people. So no, that was back in 1975, y'all. So,
yeah, and I mean, like when somebody gives me something handmade, I think it's amazing and I love it so much. And if they gave me it with something else, I'm more interested in what they handmade. But I guess it's just that sort of that psychological thing where you think you're not doing enough, but when somebody else does it, you're like, oh, they're so cool. That's amazing. Yeah. So, psychology.
It's the thought. There's that old saying, it's the thought that counts, not the gift.
Exactly.
The thought that counts.
Yeah, so in that vein, I also created something for one of my best friends, and this is a Stitchplay design. It's a freebie on their website. I think the design started with a B, but I can't remember. I know I've showed it on our channel before. But I picked these colors out because they reminded me of her. I had them in my stash, thankfully from the craft gallery sale. And it's a blend of silks and I think rayon. So this was really fun. Yeah. I did not necessarily do the center design correctly, but I still like it. And there was a lot of changes that I made. So they were supposed to be purple on the outside of all the yellow, but I didn't think it was really needed. But yeah, this stitched up pretty quick for me. So I finished this. So this is an FFO. I put the cording on the side. And once again, I used the sticky felt to attach to it.
Okay.
And yeah, it was so simple. Yeah. Actually, I don't think this one was the sticky felt. Oh, I know what I did. So there's a piece of black felt underneath it, which made it thicker so I could put the cording on it. The black was the sticky felt. Okay. And then I glued, using fabric glue, the pink felt on top of the black one. So I wasn't actually gluing onto my stitching, but the sticky part was there. So I tried to buy an easel for this, and I bought the easel when it was still not cut down. And so now the easel I have is way too big.
Oh, okay.
So either I'm just going to give it to her and suggest what she can do with it and let her sort of decide, or if I have a chance to go to the store, I'll buy the smaller size easel. I think I got like a 4-inch, and this is about 4 inches.
Mhm.
So it didn't work. But yeah, this was fun. I liked doing all the different stitches, and there's a lot
Colors
of
are pretty.
intricacies in here.
Yeah, it's very pretty. Move it over this
Yeah.
way just a little bit. Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
Now,
so I really like that.
I was glad Karen mentioned to you that you could lace it. The other day she mentioned that to you. And Ann and I had both said, just try this other method, because the only thing with the lacing the canvas is you really do have to pull tightly, but you can.
Yeah.
It's something you can do, but you wanted to get this done.
Exactly. I didn't want the time or spend the time fiddling with it. If it was my own piece, then it wouldn't have mattered to have a deadline, but since it's for next week, kind of wanted to get
Turned
it done.
out nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So those are my new starts, whips, finishes, and FFOs all in one.
Wow.
So I've been pretty busy this week. And then I think I'm the only one that has haul this week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep. And so I finally got Coming to America, which I know a lot of floss tubers have shown this already, so mine may not be special, but if it is new to you, I'm so excited to show you. So this is Coming to America by Brenda Gervais. And it's also With Thy Needle and Thread. I think that is her company.
Yes.
And so this is a 66-day stitch along. I believe we start September 6th, which is the day that they started sailing on the Mayflower, and ends the 66 days later when the Mayflower landed. So it comes in this really nice box, which I'll probably keep the project in.
Good
There's a lot
idea.
in here. When I was unpacking it on the couch before, I was so excited. It looks like more stuff kept coming out. So I got the chart itself, which is printed on really thick paper, and the colors of the actual charting are so nice, because you know sometimes you get those charts and they're just black and white and they're hard to really see, but this one is perfect, which I can't show you that. So if you got it, then you know. If you know, you know. It came with this adorable needle minder.
Oh,
so it's
cute.
little Plymouth woman, Pilgrim woman, I should say.
Pilgrim, yes.
And so I thought that was really nice. And now I have to convince myself that yes, I can take it out of the package and use it. I don't have to just keep it pristine, which is usually my go-to. I won't open things, I'll just keep them really nice. These are some of the DMC colors. So
nice.
This came in the full kit for me because the shop, Just Stitching Inc., that I ordered from, she sent them all together. But this was the flosses and the fabric were not part of the original kit that you buy.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to stitch 2/2 on 32 count vintage Lugana Country Mocha. And so it'll be on this really nice, it's very lightly modeled fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Modeled. I always say modeled like with a D, and then Marianne's like, no, it's model, get it right. And then I posted an Instagram model, and she's like, no, once again, it's modeled. And then I'm like, oh, model, got it.
Yeah.
It also came with this cool, I can never remember the name of it. I want to say like almost a stitch guide, but you put this in the corner of your fabric and you can calculate where like 2 inches, a 2-inch border would be, a 3-inch border, a 1-inch border. And so I've never tried that before. I usually always stitch in the center, so that will be pretty cool.
You could call it something like it measures stitches, so stitch guide or stitch measure.
Yeah,
that is a good idea.
A corner guide.
Well, that could be that.
It might be a corner guide.
Yeah.
And then it came with this sticker to put on the back. So it says who it was wrought by, the date that I finished it, and what the piece was.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice touch. These are the flosses. I'm missing one of the colors, but I know it was really hard for the shopkeeper to get, and so that is like I want to say like a lightish brown with like a little bit of green tone in it, and so she's supposed to be sending me that.
Okay.
And then this blue I thought was so pretty. So these two are Classic Color Works. These are Gentle Art. So a lot of fancy flosses. And then just some of those DMCs, which I think I'm missing one of the DMCs still.
Okay.
And then it also came with this free chart.
Oh, nice.
So Harvest Blessings, which I'll probably stitch that after I finish the piece. And then inside it, there was one more thing, which I didn't take it out of the package, so sorry for the crinkle. Which now just woke up my cat because he's obsessed with crinkling. He was sitting so nicely in the corner, and then I just crinkled the bag, which is like his catnip.
Yeah.
So inside that, it came with this little booklet, and it tells about, this is William Bradford, husband to Dorothy Bradford, and it's his journal. And so he documented the history of the 30 years of the Plymouth colony. And
Wow.
so I thought that was really cool. It tells about it, talks about him. It gives sort of an example of his journal, which was really nice. And then it came with this fabric, which is an actual reproduction of his journal.
Oh, cool.
Which is a little hard to see because you can kind of see through it. But
yeah, you can see, yeah, cool.
Yeah, and so the idea is you're supposed to use this fabric as the back
Right.
of this one's pillow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I just thought that was like such a nice touch to give you the regular chart and the regular stitch along, but then also include another chart and the backing fabric for it and have it all be the sort of package deal, and it all ties together really well. So I was super excited to get that. I ordered it a long time ago, as long as like, I think it was maybe March I started.
I was going to say it was back in the spring. Yeah.
Yeah. So finally just came out, and I had this long discussion with Sean, like, well, do I start it before the 6th? Because I really want to start this piece, but I also like the idea of stitching it along with the Mayflower journey. And so, of course, we went back and forth, and he was like, well, if you want to stitch it, just stitch it. I'm like, oh, but it's like symbolic, and we should start it on the 6th. And it was this whole thing, but I haven't started it. I'll wait till the 6th.
Right.
And as soon as I wake up that day, I'm going to be like, oh, got to get that stitch in. But yeah, so if you have the Coming to America piece, let me know. Oh, I just banged that table. We are all full of today, all difficulties. Yeah, so if you are stitching that piece, let me know. I would love to stitch it with you. If you're interested in it, I'm not sure if it's still available. I know it was for pre-order. Some shops ordered extra, but I'm not sure if they've sold out of them. So if you're interested, I would start calling shops and sort of checking around, but if not, I'll be able to show you my progress on here.
Very good.
So yeah, I think the next stop is vintage.
Okay.
Which will give my throat a break.
I couldn't remember if I'd ever shown y'all this pillow or not.
No, but I love it.
Thank you. This is Jacobean embroidered needlepoint. It's not crewel. It's needlepoint, but it's a Jacobean type design. I bought the pattern in Charlotte, North Carolina in 1979 and finished it. I don't know if I ever put a finishing date on it, but I just love the colors. And I have
they're still so bright.
Yeah, I have some large urn-like things or jugs, you know, they have lids on them in the living room that are similar to this color. And then I've always liked yellow, and our walls in our living room are yellow. We're in our den today, y'all. It's not any color back here other than what the
we've had all the difficulties.
Yeah, when we bought the house, you know, I liked the paneling and such, and Joe said, well, let's paint it. And I said, no, I don't want to paint it. And we have bookcases over here on this side that you can't see that are full and match the walls nicely. So his niece said, well, I thought you wanted it painted. He says, well, Marianne liked it unpainted more than I cared about whether it was painted or not. The other vintage thing is I did find the little floss label that I told you. I knew I would find it. I searched and searched.
So you found it that afternoon, didn't you?
Yes, I did. It's the real, you can see it's really old. I'll get a picture of it up close. But it says on here, Corticelli Roman floss, washing color, so you can wash it, and it's color number 574. And then it has on the back instructions on how to wash it. Wash in warm suds made with ivory or any other pure soap. Good thing for Procter & Gamble there. What does it say? Lightly rinse well, rub, lightly rinse well, and dry quickly. Avoid soaking, so that you wash the floss beforehand, or if it's, you could, that way it's more waterproof in your work. But the Corticelli, the Roman floss, was used more, as I mentioned last week, for furniture, upholstery, or pillows, something like that. The other vintage piece is a fun one, kind of. Well, fun for me anyway. These are three of the women in my life that are important. It's I don't have one of my other grandmother, my daddy's mother, but this is my great-grandmother. This is my grandmother, and this is my mama as a little girl. And
look at their hair, it's so perfect.
Yeah, well, that's the Marcel design. Both of them you would have taken, the light is shining on it some, so I'll just put it in the, there you go, that's better. I thought it would be interesting to see the clothing a little bit too. My mother is probably, I would say, about 3 or 4, maybe 4 years old in this picture, because I've got another one of my grandmother holding my aunt who is 4 years. She was just a baby, and so Mama might be almost 5, because there's 4 years apart in their ages. But I just loved the dress and that big bow, and then there's lace on my great-grandmother's dress, and my grandmother's is, my grandmother lived to almost, she was 100. She was 2 months shy of her 101st birthday.
Oh my goodness.
My great-grandmother was 82 when she passed away, and my mother passed away 17 years ago this past Friday. She was only 76. Wow. So I hope I have I hope I have the what do I want to say? The genes of the ones that lasted even longer.
My great-grandma.
Well, my grandmother, my great-grandmother was in her early 80s, and then my grandmother was 100.
Oh, okay, grandma.
Yeah. Well, in our family, my great-grandmother is called Grandma. My grandmother, I started out calling her Mama, and then I called my mother Mama Claire, because her middle name was Claire. So we finally got it around to Grandma, was what my mother called her grandmother, and we all did too. And then my grandmother was called Mom, and my mother was Mama. So it's a Southern thing, y'all. It's a Southern. You have to be from the South to get the whole routine in there, in all honesty. But I just thought that would be a nice vintage thing. And I had this frame. I had something else in it. So there we go with using frames otherwise. So the pillow and that.
It's such a beautiful picture.
The dresses too. So yeah, I've got to go through and start sending photos to my siblings and stuff. And I was going to tell you, when you start your Mayflower thing, that's my sister's birthday, the 6th of September.
Oh, really?
But she's a lot younger than the Mayflower trip.
She's like, make sure you say that.
Yeah, she's younger than I am. She's almost 2 years younger, not quite 2 years.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, I'm really excited for that piece. I just wanted it when I saw it, and then now that everybody is also getting the kits, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I ordered it.
I'm glad you did too, because I remember you wanting to do that.
Yeah. But thanks for sharing that picture. It's so beautiful. I just love their hair.
Oh, I do too. Isn't it fun? They would have used, it was similar to our curling irons of today, but much deadlier, I think. They would really get hot. And then with Mama's hair, sometimes what you did was you'd roll it with, you'd had like they'd make bows in it. You know, they would take fabric, like say from a t-shirt is what you would think of. You would put that around. That was instead of curlers.
Oh,
when
interesting.
When I look at this, I have a picture of me as a little girl too, and the roundness in our faces and stuff. I can see a resemblance.
You should show that next time. I'd like to see little Marianne.
Okay. Little Marianne. I actually have one that's kind of fun. My grandmother was in a they called them Tom Thumb weddings.
Okay.
And so it's a picture, I think, or of my mother. I can't remember now which one it was. I think it was my mother was in a Tom Thumb wedding as a little girl. And the little boys all dressed up, and then they're dressed like they're in a wedding. But it could be my grandmother. I can't remember which. But yes, I'll find a vintage picture of little Marianne that we can do. Yeah. I'll show the two of them together.
Yes,
so
please.
That's all I've got for today. And luckily, the knock on wood, the computer kept working. So
yeah, well, we're almost done. The last thing I have is our giveaway, which you can see this is normal background. So I'm not home and I forgot to bring the charts, but it is the Lizzie Kate summer piece. And so that we have two giveaways or two winners for this week. And so the first is, hopefully I don't butcher your name, Teresa Chuckle. So it's Teresa Chule. So hopefully I said that right. And she said, enjoyed watching y'all today. Love all the new charts. Love the cookbooks, which we had a lot of people tell us how much they like the cookbooks and that little segment last time. So we'll have to bring some of those back for sure. She said, my aunt had some great cookbooks. Comes autumn. Can't wait. Love the change in weather. Have a great day and happy stitching. Which I also can't wait. Fall is my favorite, and really all I want to do is wear a long sleeve shirt and shorts. So that's all I want.
Okay.
And it feels like, at least what it is outside today, it feels like we're almost there. And the second winner is Anastasia Nico, which I think I listened, she has a Flosstube, and I listened to how she pronounced her first name, because I was like, okay, it's either Anastasia or Anastasia. And so her Flosstube, where she also talks about cross stitching, is just under her name. So Anastasia Nico, it's very good. So if you've never found her before, definitely go check her out. I'll link her below. And Anastasia said, oh my God, those cookbooks. See, people really like the cookbooks. Yeah. Sound like real treasures. You can totally have a part of a video just making some of those recipes. This summer, I was moving too much and devoid of really good kitchens, so I haven't really cooked much myself, but watching so many cooking shows. I've also been watching cooking shows, so I get it. She said, I would totally watch you girls baking that chocolate cake. Thanks for sharing your stitching. It's amazing as always. Which I think I replied to her and I was like, I also want to make that chocolate cake, but I don't want to put the butter on the chocolate cake after I slice it. I don't think that would work for me. So Anastasia and Teresa, definitely contact us below with contact us with your address. I will put our email, which is sanctumstitching@gmail.com. I'll type that down below so it's easy for you. So whenever you get us your addresses, then we'll be able to send the card to you. And based on Anastasia's Flosstube, I'm pretty sure she's in China. It was either Japan or China, I can't remember. And so that'll be different. I have never sent a card to China before, so I'll have to actually go into the mail center and be like, help me, I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, so definitely email us at the email listed down below. And oh, one more thing before we end. So we are going to come back with a video on September 20th or 21st. We're going to take a little break. And so definitely hit the notification bell so that when we post our next video, you get notified right away that we're back. I will post on Instagram as a reminder, as always. And I think that's it. Is that everything for you?
That's it for me.
All right. So we will see you.
Yeah. Happy
We'll see you in mid-September.
Yeah.
Yes, happy Labor Day. Enjoy
we'll see you
the
in
last of the
September.
summer.
I'll sing the song. We'll see you in September. I'll see you in the fall. and so on.
I was waiting. I was like, where's the rest of it? I'm listening. On that note, have a great rest of your summer. We'll see you mid-September.
Bye,
Bye.
y'all.